You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today's episode 105. Instagram Alchemy, how to turn posts into profits with Stefanie Gass. If you are an entrepreneur who wants actionable solutions to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. I am really looking forward to bringing Stefanie Gass to this podcast as our guest because, well, one is she figured a little bit something out about Instagram, and I happen to love playing on Instagram. And when I say playing, I mean it's my favorite platform for social media, specifically stories, and you'll definitely hear more about that in the episode to come. But I'm often intrigued about how do others grow their social media profiles and turn that time that's been invested into profits for their business. It is very possible, but that's why I wanted to bring Stefanie on. Stefanie Gass is the host and creator of the Mompreneur Mastermind Show podcast and Podcast Pro University. Fueled by iced coffee, oversized lounge clothes, mom buns, and snuggles from her littles, she's a wife and mama on a mission. Steph's call is empowering women through faith-based business and balanced mentorship to step into their potential and claim the success and happiness they deserve. She believes that we can profit from our passions, live proactively instead of reactively, and design a life that fuels our soul. She believes we can actually have it all. When listening in on my conversation with Stefanie, you will discover tips for navigating the black hole of social media. I mean, come on, it is and can be a black hole, but we are going to talk about how to navigate away from that and make sure it is not a black hole. Life-changing Instagram hacks. Now, that sounds a bit dramatic, but if you are literally spending way too much time on Instagram trying to get traction to grow your visibility, your marketing, and ultimately your profits and revenue, then these are going to be life-changing hacks. How to prevent Instagram from being such a time sucker. Strategies for staying at the forefront of people's minds using Instagram stories. Clever ways to automate your social media. And so much more. Now, before we dive in to meet Stefanie, which I can't wait for you to meet her, I want to let you know about one of the ways that we can work together. I have created my VIP Accelerator Day because I know monthly coaching sessions aren't for everyone, and you might prefer the fast lane. Much like myself. If you want to completely overhaul your productivity and immerse yourself in transformation, and you want to do it with the most efficient way possible, I invite you to join me for my full day of hybrid of coaching privately and training. Together, we'll overcome the challenges you're facing in your business and accelerate your success. Just head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/VIP to learn more. Now, let's get to the straight talk. Hey, Stefanie, welcome to Productivity Straight Talk. How are you?
Hi, Amber. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have you. You know, you reached out and we jumped on a call. I just looked and saw what you were up to. And then we jumped on a call and strategized about what I think to be a great topic we're bringing our listeners today. So before we jump into our topic, our listeners heard a little bit of your official bio, but I'd love for you to share, who are you? What are you up to? What's exciting you about business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am an entrepreneur at heart. Got started with entrepreneurship half of my life. At first I was dabbling in being a makeup artist for people, and then went into network marketing in my early 20s. And I think like so many people, that's kind of the first, experience with entrepreneurship. And when I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, I don't know if any of you guys follow that, but I'm an achiever. So
yes.
I'm like, okay, are you a 3, by the way, Amber? Because I'm just curious.
I'm a 1, like I border a 1-8, and then sometimes it comes in as a 1-3. So, okay.
It's funny because so many people that I really resonate with are like 1s and 3s. We're just go-getters, I guess.
Yes.
Anyway, I got started with network marketing. Basically, I just decided like, I'm going to do this thing. And within 2 years, I had reached the top 1% of the company as far as success is concerned, and walked the stage, had the big bonus checks and the cars and the trips and all of the things. But I kind of had found myself searching for more meaning. And I was feeling so just overwhelmed, overworked. I felt morally like it just wasn't the right fit for me anymore. And I did a lot of soul searching. About 4 years into my network marketing business, met with a mentor, started really digging into discovering who I am. And I realized, wow, it's actually female entrepreneurship and helping people conquer their fears and step into their potential. And I love to speak and mentor. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit away from network marketing, and I'm going to start becoming an educator for female entrepreneurs. And I use the term mompreneur because I was a new mama. And so I really wanted to resonate with that, woman that was struggling to build a business and also be a good mom and do all the things. So what I did about 2 years ago is I started these online courses to help women specifically market online. And it kind of grew and exploded. And I now help women with group coaching. I help them profit from their passions. I run a podcast. And really my whole intention is to help people understand that they have a passion and a gift on their heart. And there's a way to profit from that gift while still having balance. I actually do believe in that word. So that's who I am. And I'm a mama of 2 and, just hanging out in my mom bun behind my microphone.
There you go. Okay. So I need to dive into some of that. So First of all, what is your definition of balance? She said, I believe in that. So, because I think that it's really common for people to be like, I don't believe in balance, which I've said too, because I think that people's definition of balance is so different. So what is your definition of balance that you do believe in?
Thanks for asking that question. Because if you were to look at it on a daily basis, obviously balance doesn't exist, right? One day you're going to be really heavy on your business. You've got a launch coming up where it's really client heavy, especially those of us that are trying to be as like Amber's productivity goals, like hashtag be like Amber. We've got batch working and we've got all the things. So you're going to have heavy days. But if you were to take a look at your month at a glance and you were to pull that planner out and say, am I being intentional in the areas? Let's say you have 4 key areas of your life. Can you figure out how to time block? And yes, you can, because you own your life. How can I time block in these 4 areas that fuel me? And so for me, that's spirituality, it's family, it's my own health and wellness, and then it's my business. So if I know I've got this heavy day on Monday and Tuesday, well, Wednesday, guess what? I'm going to block that out. I'm going to really focus on pouring into my kids, into my family, meal prepping so that I can be successful in my health. And there's certain things for me, Amber, that are non-negotiable, like 30 minutes in the morning for spirituality, an hour a day to exercise and work out. And then I don't take any client appointments, calls, nothing in the evening with my family. And so I think you determine what does balance mean for you? And then you set the boundaries and the non-negotiable stuff up so that you can be successful.
Yes, I agree. So I'm with you 100%. So balance does not look like the scale of 50-50. I think it's about having your definition of, like you said, your 4 areas and what success looks like. And if you're putting in the time and the commitment and the consistency, then you feel in balance. You feel like you're spending the right amount of time for you for spirituality and with your family and in your business and your health. So I really love that. And thank you for sharing that, because I think that the more conversation we have about balance, it opens up, some ideas about, ultimately, I think what you're saying and what I would love to say is that your definition of balance is different than mine, is different than each of the listeners that are listening today. And so long as we take the time to define that as clearly as you have, I think that's great. You were talking about investing time. We were just talking off air about, this week is spring break. And my husband is suddenly home for many of the days. And I'd already scheduled a very light week, but I was up really early doing interviews already by 7:00 this morning, my time. And I was up late last night while my son was sleeping so that today and tomorrow and Thursday that I can really be present while he's not in school. So that flexibility is so amazing. And I think that we need to lean into that more instead of just thinking we have to have it a certain way.
Exactly. And someone else, like you said, someone else's idea, like what you just heard me say, maybe you're like, oh my Lord, that sounds awful. Like I want to do something else. Well, cool. You do you, but you have to, I think that really the success of it is setting up the boundaries and then deciding you do own and run every single hour of your day. And so you've got to stop being reactive to every little thing, because that's what's going to eat into maybe that spirituality time or maybe that workout that all of a sudden you don't have time for. So it's the boundaries, and it's using a planner and a system of management that's really just, you adhere to those time blocks.
Yes. Okay. So this is a great transition into one of the things that I think eats up so much time for small business owners and entrepreneurs, which is, drum roll, social media.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yep.
And so some of the things that you're already sharing, which is, having a goal and setting boundaries and stuff. So I can't wait to dive into it. And you have a really, really big following on Instagram. And I happen to love spending time on Instagram. And I don't have a big following. So I am here as a student, just as my listeners are, but I want to hear, we're going to dive into strategy, but we're also going to talk about, well, how did you reach those goals or those results rather? And protect your time, because I think that social media can become such a black hole. So yes. I will, let's just start with, why are we talking about Instagram and not Facebook? So what shifted that for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Instagram for me, I think it's the first touch. It's got more searchability. Like Facebook for me is, I know these people. Like they're really warm market. They're my friends that I've known for 20 years. I went to high school with them. It's my family, which is great. But when I'm using a platform for business, I need scalability. I think that's a word. I need searchability. I want it to be mobile friendly, which we know Instagram is. It's e-commerce friendly. Messenger is already built in. So Facebook to me is just so clunky. I'm trying to figure out, how do I get these messages, and they're in the others folder, and what is happening? And then I'm frustrated and I click out. So I know my audience is going to be feeling that same way. And then Instagram upped the ante by adding stories, and stories is just, we're going to talk about stories. So let's put a star by that one. Okay. But that's why I initially shifted. And that's why I want to talk about Instagram specifically, because I think if you run a business, which pretty much all of your listeners do, this is the platform to pour into, but not all the time, to really be smart about it.
Okay. I can't wait. Okay. Because I do spend time on Instagram myself, and I do stories. And I don't think that it takes a lot of time, but it can get to be one of those things that you really enjoy. And so if you're avoiding or procrastinating something of high value in your business, I think this is a great place to hide out. So how do you set those boundaries, and what is your strategy to be in and out of Instagram to get results?
I love that. So let's talk about, why is this platform, or why was it a time suck for me? And I think really it comes down to, it's not evergreen like maybe YouTube is, or even our podcast. We put content out there and it continues to live on. Instagram is, this 24-hour snapshot really, and things don't stay relevant for too long. So the problem was, I'm in here, I'm posting every day. I'm trying to create these really great content, these stories and these vulnerable testimonies that people can really resonate and get to know me. But that takes time, I'm searching for relevant hashtags, because we know, or maybe we don't know. So hashtags are huge, and you need to search for these hashtags that they're not too popular, because then you're buried. They're not too small, because then nobody can find you, but they're also relevant to what you're talking about. So here you are, you're pouring all of this energy into the research and the building of the content and all of these things. And then you've got stories. And you're like, okay, so now I'm supposed to show up on stories 57 times a day. Like, this is crazy town.
Yeah.
And this is what was happening for me. And it was great. I mean, gosh, it worked. I've built a wonderful following, a great community. I have so many leads in business coming from my Instagram account, but something had to give. And so that's where, gosh, probably 6 months ago, I sat down. I'm like, how can I streamline this process? What can I cut out? What am I doing over and over again that I can duplicate, automate, replicate, outsource, and all of those things?
Oh my gosh. We need to pause on that for a moment because those questions are gold, right? Like
Yes.
the path through it is stopping to ask those type of questions. So I just want everyone to hear that it wasn't like she just woke up with the answers one day. She had to sit with the questions and really ask herself what it is that she can automate and cut out and create efficiency with.
I love that. And I think you'll agree with me, Amber, when we're entrepreneurs and we're so busy and we're wearing all these hats, often it's like, well, I don't have time to stop. I just have to go. And but really, if you just, even if it sets you back a day to sit down, and this is with anything in your business, whether it's social media, whether it's planning, marketing, content creation, launching courses, whatever you're doing, sit down and say, where can I save time and automate in every single thing I'm doing? Like even when Amber and I were booking this podcast and Amber sent me her 1-pager link and it was like, okay, here's all the stuff for the information for the podcast. I saw an opportunity that, oh, wow, I'm not doing that. And that can save me so much time and energy. So so I love that, like do that with every piece of your business. Just take the time to save the time later.
Yes. So I call those productivity pit stops. And I did an episode on some of them, but you're bringing this full circle is that, we have to invest now for the rewards later. It's really a time investment. So slowing down to go fast.
Yes. Okay. So let me tell you guys, what did I do after I sat down and I really thought about this? Here's what I figured out.
Okay, hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want you to paint this picture. Like how much time were you spending in Instagram and how consuming was it? So paint us a before picture before you give us the unveiling of what it looks like now.
Sure. This is it's like embarrassing, but it's you guys truly as entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs specifically, we have to be on social.
Yes.
We do. I'm sorry. You just do. And so I was sitting there and I would go on Instagram stories. Probably my goal was 10 times a day. And so let's say that takes me 30 minutes, maybe not 20 minutes. Then I would have a post a day that I was doing real time. So I would have to edit the photo, upload the photo, write the content, figure out which hashtags to use for that post. And let's say that took me, I'm pretty fast at content creation. So let's say that took me an hour. Then I'm going back into Instagram to reply to everyone, to answer all of the DMs. And I was typing out all my answers to the DMs, click, stab me in the eyeballs. It was horrible. So let's say we were spending truly probably 3 hours a day on Instagram.
Yeah. I totally can see that happening. Totally. That's not even enjoyable time. You didn't even add in that you're perusing other, and getting inspiration or anything. That's legit the actual work time.
Exactly. And then you get sidetracked. And of course, you're going to scroll. You're going, oh, look what Bobby's doing. Hey, checking out your stories. And so there's another hour. I mean, of course, right? So here's this black hole. And it was working, but being that Instagram is not an evergreen machine, there's no reason that we should be spending that much time in there.
Right.
Yep. So it's pretty rough.
Yeah. Okay. So good. So then you sat down with yourself and you're like, okay, this is no longer working for me. And I'm assuming, so you can tell me if I'm wrong, it didn't start out as 3 hours. And that's what happens in our businesses is that it's something that seems manageable and then it creeps up and it creeps up and it creeps up. And as a podcaster yourself and myself, that can happen even in our podcasting world is we have a specific amount of time and then we want to add this new thing and this new thing. And the next thing we know, we have doubled or tripled the time that we're investing in the thing. So my guess is you didn't start out with 3 hours. You creeped up to 3 hours. You looked around, asked yourself some golden questions. And what was your answers?
Okay, here's my answers. My first answer to myself is how can I automate this process? So here's the ways that I automated. The first thing I did is I sat down. I said, what are my 4 categories? I know that I'm speaking to the mompreneur. I know who she is. I know her name. I know what she struggles with. I know her hot points. I get this human being on so many levels. So let me automate my hashtag process. I went in, I figured out what are all the relevant hashtags. I found like 200 hashtags that have to do with that woman in the categories that I could be writing about. And then I saved them in my iPhone notes. And I have 5 different sets of 30 hashtags because you should max out your hashtags in the first comment. It's automated. So now I copy paste. So that was the first thing.
Okay, hold on, because I'm the student here too.
Yes.
Why are you not doing the hashtags in the content versus the first comment? Is there a reason for that?
Yes. So when you click on somebody's photo, you can see the first couple paragraphs of their caption, right?
Right.
Well, we don't want to see 30 hashtags in there because it looks spammy. You're like, ew, they're just trying to get attention. They're doing all these hashtags. But if you put it in your first comment, it's hidden unless that human being clicks on comments. But it's still searchable.
Oh, I love that. And you're right. It does feel spammy because I don't use 30. I use a few.
Yeah.
And okay, so I love that. And then, so you have your 30 and times 5. And so you just choose the right one, or are you just alternating?
I'm alternating between the 5 sets. So for example, there are 4 categories I really talk about: spirituality, family, mompreneurship, and online marketing and business. And so I have, these 4 or 5 categories where if I'm going to talk about faith and I've got this spiritual quote or something, I can go copy those hashtags specifically and paste them in that first comment. I don't even think about it.
Right. Love it. And then strategically, I'm like digging for gold here.
Yes, do this.
How did you research? So you're throwing out the word research, right? And I'm thinking, okay, what does actual research look like that came to those 200?
So you need to go, you can use your phone or you can use the computer. Go to Instagram.com. Mm-hmm. You're going to click on hashtags, the category. So in the search field, you know how you can type in someone's name?
Yeah.
You can also type in a hashtag. So you're going to do that. And let's say, for example, Amber was to head into Instagram and she wants to search for productivity related hashtags. So you would type in the word productivity, Amber, right there in the search bar. You're going to get all of these things that are listed out. Well, obviously, hashtag productivity has probably got like 2 million posts. You know, it's way too oversaturated. You're not going to stand out. So you're going to dig deeper. And maybe there's productivity hacks. And that one has 100,000 posts. Ooh, good one. I'm going to copy this one down. Then you're going to dig a little deeper. Maybe there's one that says productivity mania. Like, okay, we're getting crazy here, but you get my point.
Yes,
and so you want to find those hashtags that are anywhere between maybe 10,000 and 200,000 posts. Because being really great at our content creation, our graphics are catchy, we're going to stand out. And we are going to get featured at the top of those hashtag searches.
Got it. Okay. I love it. All right. Awesome. So you did your hashtag research, then you clumped them up by category. You put them on your iPhone. So let's quick copy and paste. What's next?
Okay, next was content creation. So instead of going, okay, real time today, I'm going to talk about this and that, it was no more. I'm going to batch this. Yeah. I'm going to batch this batch. So I sat down and I said, once a week, I'm going to spend 3 hours at my computer. I have 0 distractions. I've got my iced coffee. I'm going to bust out the content for this week. And so it was getting streamlined on content creation and then repurposing my content creation. There is no reason that I should have a different caption on Instagram than on Facebook. There's no reason that I can't use my podcast verbiage for my email marketing for that week as a caption for Instagram,
Right.
So I started saying, what am I doing this week? Which podcast episodes are coming out? What do I have going on in my life that I can talk about? What struggles have I had? Do I have a great client testimony? And then I would draft those out and then I would go wham, bam, bam, post it in. I use OnlyPult, it's called, for my Instagram scheduling. Post it in there.
Say one more time.
It's called OnlyPult, ONLYPULT.
Okay, great. We'll link to that.
Yes.
Never heard of it. So thanks for sharing.
Amazing. So post it in there, posted it into my Facebook scheduling. I also put it into my email marketing system because I know what days are my podcasts coming out. So I decided I'm repurposing everything.
Yeah.
And batching it out. So that happened. And then here is the last tip for you. And I have actually I have two more. So the third one is outsource. What does not light you up?
Yeah.
Guess what did not light me up, Amber? It was going into Instagram and searching. I'm trying to search for mompreneurs and go and say, hey girl, like, look, I love human beings and I love to start relationships with them. I do, but I don't have time to spend 3 hours a day sending Mary and Bobby and Lisa a message like, hey girl, oh my gosh, like let's get to know each other. I want to know, does Lisa actually have a need for me? Is she the exact type of avatar that I need before I ever speak to that person? Before, I don't want to waste her time. I don't want to waste my time. And so I outsourced my Instagram management. And this was an investment.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, okay, if I can tell another human being that has time and they're excited to do this for me, who do I want to network with? What does her page look like? What are her strengths, weaknesses? What is her business model? What are her hashtags she's looking for? Who is she following? And then that person can go and set it all up for me and then basically just send me, like they start the process. They start liking, commenting. They even send DMs on my behalf. And then the people that are replying to me, I take over.
Interesting. Okay, I really like this. I had no idea that you outsourced that part. So let's just say that person reaches out to 100 people, let's just say, and
Sure.
then you're only going to, now that it's like the first filter. And so now if you get a response, then that's when you jump in and, right? Is that,
Exactly.
And it's only a percentage of them.
Exactly. It's only people that are actually writing me in my inbox or commenting on my posts. So that was and then I do have one for Instagram stories, but I'm going to save that one because I want to talk about stories kind of in its own little category.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So those were the things I changed. And so now, like truly, literally, I'm not exaggerating. I do not spend more than 30 to 45 minutes a day inside Instagram.
All right. And so your following, how long have you been working on your following that has gotten you where you're at right now?
About 2 years. I was stuck at like 5,000, which 5,000 is great, but it was the same 5,000 that I've had for like 10 years, forever.
Yeah.
And it's because it was just a hot mess. I had to redo the aesthetics. I didn't have branding. I didn't have a cohesive message. My bio was a mess. If you guys need bio help, I just did a podcast episode today on your Instagram biography. Just FYI.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to take a listen.
I didn't have professional photos. So all the things that like you have to do to even be taken seriously on Instagram first. But then it was an intentional choice. Okay, I'm going to kind of shift from Facebook because I was really working hard on Facebook just because it was comfortable. Like I understood it. And Instagram seemed so scary. Like, I don't understand it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. And so it's been about 2 years. And, I've grown to roughly like 43,000 followers, anywhere between a 2 to 5% engagement rate on my hard-hitting posts, which is really, really good. And it's driving business for me. And it's helping the right customer.
I think that is the most important is that, in this day and age where people are buying followers and, it's more of an ego of like, oh, I have X amount of followers. And I mean, I get it. Like that does feel important especially when you're an online marketer or it shows some sort of credibility. But at the end of the day, I'm always interested to find out, well, how's that driving business, right? Like anyone that's spending 3 hours a day on something, or now even for you, 30 to 45 minutes, I want to hear about what is that return on investment. So you're saying it's driving because you're very strategic with who's reaching out, who your assistant or, who you contract out that's helping you on your team is reaching out to. So it's not a numbers game. It's the right person.
Yeah. And we get so caught up in this, like, oh, but I only have X amount of followers. You guys, it is so much more important. I don't care if you have 100 followers. I want you to focus on driving your engagement rate, which is basically the number of likes and comments per post divided by your number of followers. Because people will take you more seriously if you have 100 followers, but you've got a 50% engagement. Like 50 of those people are obsessed with you.
Right.
That's huge. Versus, oh, I have 100,000 followers and like nobody actually cares because I bought all of these fake numbers and there's no human being behind it. People see through that.
Right.
So it's not about the number of followers. It's about consistently showing up and pouring your heart out and really trying to help someone with your end goal is not today I'm going to sell my XYZ. It's today I'm going to teach someone something. And if one human being gains from this, it was worth it, you know?
Right. Okay, that's great. That's awesome. So let's switch to Instagram stories because that's actually the place I love to hang out.
Okay.
Personally, right? And I feel like it's such a great way for people to really get to know you.
Oh my gosh, I agree. You guys, if you are not on Instagram stories, you must listen to me, okay? I know it's like, ooh, but it's video. Like people get a little weird about video sometimes. But let me tell you a stat that's going to blow your mind. My Instagram stories gets 3 to 5 times the engagement and interaction than my posts do right there on my feed. And why? Because when someone comes into stories, you are front of mind. Your little circle, your cute little circle is right there at the top. And if they've ever clicked on you in like the last couple of weeks, your story is first up there. And if they start watching your story, every day your story shows up for that person and you're always front of mind.
Okay. That's how that works. Because I feel like there's other people that are doing stories, but I don't always see their posts. So it's the people that I'm engaging with the most. It just kind of recycles.
Instagram knows. They're like, who's Amber checking out? You know, and then they're going to link that up, you know, and like example, I got on my Instagram story today and you were the first one right there.
Yeah.
It's because we've been corresponding about this and we've been chatting and, you know, we've been talking. And so Instagram knows, ooh, Steph likes Amber. Like she wants to see her stories. And so that's what's happening. And the thing is, if Amber went MIA for 3 days and she never got back into her Instagram stories, she's not front of mind because, right? Like I'm in there and I'm being proactive, not reactive. I'm not searching for people. So if they don't show up, like the first 3 or 4 people in my stories, chances are I'm not going to click on those people.
Right, right. So, and the strategy behind stories just in general, or at least for me, because I'm not a big like Instagram person, is like, it's telling a story just as it says, but it's like you're personal and you're professional and it's not just an edited photo. So when you reference video, I do video sometimes, but sometimes it's like a picture of what I'm working on for the day or someone that I spoke to, or it's kind of just bringing people along on that journey of what does it look like on a day-to-day for Amber. And then I'm also sharing wisdom. And for me, in a normal post, it's almost always just like sharing knowledge or wisdom or nuggets and not a ton of behind the scenes. So that's why I really like the stories.
And that you're doing exactly the right thing. It's okay, guys, why are people on stories? They're bored. You know, they're just like, they're sitting there. Maybe they're drinking their morning coffee. Maybe they're at work and they're bored. People are bored. And so getting your stories, and I say a great place to start would be 5 stories a day. And I'm going to teach you a little bit how to automate this as well. So you're not constantly thinking, what's my next story? Because we don't want to be thinking about Instagram all day. But like Amber said, you want to use a nice combination of video, and they're 15-second videos. Guys, my best performing stories are me, a hot mess, no makeup on my face, running after my kids, or working from my backyard, or doing a behind the scenes of a podcast recording. It's showing that I'm wearing mismatched baggy sweatpants. Like it doesn't need to be fancy. It needs to be truth. So who are you? Who is the human being behind your brand? Show up there on stories. Give them the secret and who you truly are, and let your feed be a bit more about the content that you teach and the free value, and use your stories as a driver. So what do I mean by this? For example, I like to use quizzes. People always want to give their 2 cents. They're like, well, I believe, you know. So ask them, use polls, use questions. My favorite thing to do is say, hey guys, ask me anything. And I'll get, I don't know, 5 or 10 questions. And it's so funny. Like they're all over the board. People wonder the strangest things. And I'm like, cool. And people just love to know more about you. And then I do polls. Hey, would you guys rather hear this or this on the show this week? And so let them interact with you instead of you pushing information at people. Pull pull from your audience. Ask them, what do they want? What do they need? Make them laugh. If you're like an awkward or quirky person, like please do more of that, because those are the things that set you apart from everybody else that's out there on Instagram. Does that make sense, Amber?
Yes. Okay. I really like that. So, and I have fun with it. I think it's one of the creative ways too. Like you can just have a little bit more fun. And, a lot of my brand is, polished and professional, and that's just as much me as well. But the stories, I think, lets people get to know the person. And I 100% believe that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And when you pull back the curtains, I think the know and trust and like factor just gets heightened.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. And the other thing that I just thought of too is you can share, something I've started doing is sharing other like testimonies in my stories. If somebody does screen shares of your content, share that in your stories. So what you're doing is you're allowing your favorite customers, clients, the people that are kind of loyal to you and they're sharing your stuff, share them back in your stories. So there's a setting inside Instagram where it says allow your stories to be shared. Make sure that's on, because people might start sharing your stuff. And then when you share them, they feel so special and they feel empowered. And it just helps kind of drive that, I don't know, it's like excitement for your followers. Like, oh my gosh, Steph shared my testimony or she shared my screenshot. So that's another fun thing, is hopping into each other's stories in a way.
Yes. Okay. That's awesome. And so you had strategies about hashtags in your general feed and post. What is it? How do you get traction outside of the people that are already watching you in stories?
Sure. So the first one is to be, sharing and linking people in your stories. So for example, a strategy might be Amber and I are both doing interviews on each other's podcasts. Well, today I went into my stories and I said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be chatting with Amber today. We're talking about productivity, and I linked Amber in my stories. So now all the people that are checking out my stories, they're nosy and they're bored, And so they're like, who's Amber? Well, guess what? They are clicking on Amber's name because I linked her in my stories, and they're over on Amber's page now and they're checking her out. So anytime that you're collaborating with somebody or there's something that you love, like a podcast or something, start showing the love and tagging people, because guess what? They're going to return the favor. They may share your share in their stories. And I think, it's that organic reach that people start talking about you. And that's really where you're going to grow. So that would be number one. The second one is to ask people to share stuff, right? Like, so for example, like, it's like, oh, in my podcast, I've started saying, hey, if you loved this show, take a screenshot, post it in your Instagram stories, tag me, and I will share your share. And believe it or not, almost every day, somebody does it. And so it's use Instagram stories as a call to action. You guys can do that in whatever you do, whether you're a coach, network marketer, whether you have courses, like anything. So that would be kind of how I do that.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to do that for this episode. I'm going to ask people to do that. So that's a great call to action. And just to circle back on your tip number one, I was, this is you and I are going back and forth and communicating about how we can be of value to each of our audiences. And I was watching your stories because now, of course, they're coming up, like you said.
Right.
You did a story about interviewing or getting ready to interview Hillary Hendershot.
Yeah.
And had I not watched your stories, I would have never seen the connection. I'm like, that's my BFF. Like and Hillary has a podcast called Profit Boss Radio. And I would have never known that connection. And I just loved how you were sharing, like, oh, I don't normally get nervous, but I'm a little nervous.
Right.
And I thought, oh my gosh, that's great. And I knew you were in for a great interview. So that was fun to watch behind the scenes.
And guess what that does too? That builds anticipation from my podcast listeners, because they're like, ooh, well, gosh, that sounds like a cool interview, And so if you can build anticipation and like lead into the content that you're going to be putting in your feed down below, or maybe you have a blog post coming up or a new live video, promote. And Instagram stories is totally the place to do that.
Okay. You've just inspired me to get a little more creative and I'm going to execute many of these because while I love Instagram, I have been getting a little frustrated with my lack of growth. So if you're listening to this episode, do me a solid and go follow me.
Yes.
and follow Stefanie. But I mean, come on, give me a little love over on Instagram because I just enjoy pulling back the curtains, but it has to be a good investment on my time. And I think to do that, I think I need to see some growth. So
yes. And now before we switch gears on that one, Amber, I do want to tell you guys, how do you automate stories? Because it seems impossible, right?
Right. Okay. Yes. I do want to hear you. We talked a little bit about this, but I do want to hear your tips and tricks about how you're automating your stories. Because again, just to remind you, if you're not on stories, like they go away in 24 hours, as if they never existed.
They do. So first, what you guys have to do, thank you for bringing that up, Amber, is you have to create highlight reels. And these are those little bubbles in your bio. And I talk about this on today's podcast show. If you're like, what is she talking about? They're little highlight circles and you can categorize your stories so that they save. And each category, for example, I've got mom life and boss lady and podcast. So if I'm posting about my show, I'm going to click highlight and put it in the podcast little folder and it will save 100 stories for me so that if somebody wants to come and just stalk the podcast folder, they're not interested in whatever else is going on, they can do that and your stories will live on. So there you go. There's your free additional tip on that.
I like that. And thanks for the reminder. Sometimes we need a good reminder. So I have a highlight reel, but I'm not always adding to it. So I love that because if somebody finds me new, you know how it is. They want to stalk you a bit and do their homework. So, okay, I'm going to keep adding to my highlight reels.
Good. And then here's the stuff. Here's how you automate. So you're going to have something that you always talk about. Okay. So for example, right now I'm running a promo or like a gift where if somebody comes and they leave a review for my show, I'm doing a drawing for a Christian entrepreneur gift set. I'm always talking about it. Like, should I constantly show up on stories and keep reminding people, or can I automate this process? So I found a really neat app and it's called Unfold, Unfold. It's free. You go into Unfold, you create this experience. So for example, the first one says like, oh my gosh, win this Christian entrepreneur gift pack. And then the second one has a beautiful photo of the 3 things you're going to win. And then the next photo says, here's how to enter. And it's in like really pretty scripted font, great background. The next one says, you're going to swipe up and leave a review. And then it says, must live in the continental US and be awesome. So I've got this whole experience for them. I created it in Unfold. I saved it one time into my pictures. Now, all I have to do is go up into my stories and once a week, I'm uploading it. I'm adding music and I'm adding the swipe up link, which happens when you hit 10,000 followers, you guys. And if you don't have that yet, just tell them link in bio and then I post it. It's the same thing every week. Like there's no reason to recreate it or retype it or make it look different. And it looks more professional. It flows beautifully. And all I have to do is add that music. It takes me 10 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That's great. So I do something similar as well as, I have my own promos or opt-ins as well. And so we actually schedule them through later where they're just being recycled through, every other week or we're alternating, but they also show up. And then the other tip that I do as well is like, I like to have my own background that's on brand. So it's like my brand colors. So we created all the different options for backgrounds and I have those saved to my phone. So I pull those up as my on brand background colors. And then I can type words or add pictures or like whatever I want, but I created my own templates.
Exactly. And do that for everything. Like Amber does it for stories. Do that for your feed too, guys. You should have templates for everything. You should never recreate something that is static in your business.
Oh, yes. I love it because we might be moving so fast. We're not saying those types of things. So all of our images are templated. So our quote images are templated. Our audio, we have an audio file that goes out once a week on the podcast. Then we have our regular static one. It all starts with a template. You change the picture out, change the title out. And so my team can move very quickly. Everyone knows what to expect. It's all on brand. So yeah, template.
Template, yo.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm really excited about this. And I just want to bring a couple nuggets out that I love to do when I interview people. And one of the things that Stefanie did really, really well that she alluded to early on in this interview was that she made the conscious choice to put all her time, energy, and focus, social media time, energy, and focus into Instagram. She didn't try to be like Queen Bee in Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram. So that's a great strategy in itself, is that you made a conscious choice to, go over and dominate Instagram. And now that you have it so automated, on the horizon, maybe that you take on another social media platform once this one's, on maintenance mode and, taking less time, but you didn't try to do all the things at once.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. All right. Excellent. You shared some amazing tips. I'm really, really excited to implement many of them in my own Instagram experience. And so, Stefanie, can you just share with our listeners, where can they find you? Obviously, share your Instagram handle, like how can they go follow you? And if they want more of you, where do they go?
Absolutely. So you guys, the best place to find me is my website, and that's stephaniegass.com. And then, of course, my podcast is the Mompreneur Mastermind Show. So, and listen, we got some dadpreneurs over there too. I see you. You're welcome to come. And then my Instagram handle is just at Stefanie Gass. And you guys, like Amber said, let's have a challenge. If you loved this episode or you learned something new, take a screenshot, post it in your stories, tag Amber and I'll share it into my stories. It'll be fun. That's a perfect way to say hey.
Yes, we'll both share. And I do want to end with this, just my own personal experience, like this experience. Stefanie, I don't think that this is going to end, right? Like we have now, we committed to investing about 2 hours together today between my podcast and yours. And I have actually built some great relationships via social media. So it's not just about the clients, which is great too. But as business owners, sometimes we're doing it on our own. And through building organic and honest conversations, or having honest conversations through social media, that's a great byproduct of this time investment as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I agree. 1,000,000%.
All right. Excellent. Well, hey, Stefanie. So I will be linking out to my interview on your podcast as well, and vice versa. So if you didn't get enough of us here, you can definitely take a listen to our interview over on Stefanie's podcast.
Yay. Can't wait.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being a guest here today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Amber.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Stefanie as much as I did. And if you stayed tuned through this episode, that means that you particularly love Instagram, and you wanted to find out how you could be more effective and efficient with just your social media strategy in general. So, if you're a lover of Instagram and you hang out on Instagram, I am personally inviting you to come follow me. Let's connect over at Instagram. Follow me at Amber@_de la Garza, DELAGARZA. Okay. And one more thing. I think this would be really, really fun. I want you to screenshot your podcast app and how you're listening to this episode right now. And then I want you to share it on Instagram and tag me. And then bonus points if you tell me what you were up to while you were listening to the episode. I have literally heard of people painting their homes and bedrooms and working out and walking their kids from, to or from school, or sitting in the pickup line. There are so many different ways that you, Productivity Insider, are listening to Productivity Straight Talk. And I'm so curious to find out how you consume this episode each week. So go ahead and screenshot it. Tag me on Instagram at Amber_de la Garza. Okay, so this is where we come to the time of the episode where I challenge you to take action. I have loved having you listen to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk, but I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. What is one small little change that you can take today about how you're interacting with Instagram or social media in general? What can you do to create more efficiency or set boundaries to the amount of time that you're scrolling through social media? Social media can be a great way to interact with other people. In fact, I have personally built some really great friendships online, specifically through Instagram. So it's absolutely possible. And I've gotten clients from people that follow me on Instagram. I would love to get more. I would love to build my audience. And I think you do too. So I want you to be really, really clear about what action you're going to take from this episode. For me, I had Stefanie on because it was a bit selfish. Like I wanted to know, I wanted to be the student of her, just like you were listening to this episode. So what will you specifically take action on? To share your actionables and receive support and guidance and motivation from entrepreneurs just like you, join me on the inside of Productivity Straight Talk private Facebook community. You can join us by going to productivitycommunity.com. Again, that's productivitycommunity.com. And before we sign out, I want to send a special thank you to Grooving Gal, who recently said, she left me a review on iTunes, so thank you. And she said, after discovering Productivity Straight Talk through Biz Chicks podcast, I eagerly listened to all of the back episodes. Amber not only shines with her direct and practical tips, most of which can be applied both personally and professionally, she's also a fantastic interviewer. She has a friendly and down-to-earth yet professional style that is motivating and inspiring. Thank you so much, Groovin' Gal. I really appreciate those words, and you kind of nailed it. I try to be down-to-earth and tell it like it is, and yet bring you something that is of tremendous value week in and week out. So thank you. That is my straight talk for you today, and until next time, have a productive week.